it looks like Jen Rosati and Dawn Staley and all those folks that Cheryl Reeve, who had a hand in Caitlin Clark not making Team USA last year in the Olympics, the actual committee, looks like they may be gone.
What happens when the most marketable athlete in women's basketball gets left off the Olympic team? Apparently, heads roll.
I'd rather watch paint dry. I'd rather watch dirt just be moved around because Caitlin Clark's not on the team. If she's there, it's appointment TV. You people, whoever did this, honestly, hey, take your brain, put it in a museum, and study it for how dumb you are.
In what can only be described as karma in action, USA Basketball has announced a complete overhaul of its selection process following the Caitlin Clark Olympic snub, and people are getting fired. Sue Bird is now in charge, and suddenly the path to Los Angeles 2028 looks very different for the Indiana Fever star. The aftermath of this decision is something nobody saw coming. So what really happened to Cheryl Reeve and the US Olympic Committee? If you're excited about Caitlin playing in the Olympics, comment CC 2028 down below. Let's go.
It used to be a committee. Dawn Staley, Jennifer Rizzuti, and all of the hooligans associated in picking the USA basketball team. All of the hooligans, Cheryl Reeves included, so full of themselves, so bound by tribalism that they just couldn't look past their own nose. And at the end of the day, look at them now. Look at them now. The same fate as Cheryl Swoops calling those Dallas Wings games. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
The Olympic Committee had their reasons for leaving Caitlin Clark off the team. Or at least that's what they wanted us to believe. According to Jen Rosati, the selection committee chair, the decision was purely based on basketball criteria. Experience mattered. International play mattered. Marketability and popularity, not part of the equation.
Remember during the Olympics, the person from either South Korea or Japan, holding up the Caitlin Clark sign? Team USA looked at that gentleman and said, $, $, $. These people over there in Japan, these people over there in South Korea, they're not paying for Team USA to come and watch hoop, but they'll pay for Caitlin Clark. In fact, they are so strong about voicing that they'll pay for Caitlin Clark, they'll come to the Olympic game holding a sign that says, you guys remember.
Wait, what? You're telling me they ignored the single most electric player in women's basketball who just happened to break nearly every NCAA scoring record? A player who transformed the entire landscape of women's basketball in less than a year? Make it make sense. And it's not just about popularity. Clark had significant international experience playing for Team USA in the FIBA Under-19 tournament, winning gold twice and winning tournament MVP.
Decision on his part. Caitlin Clark is PR. That's where, how can they leave her? Once again, everybody's, out to get her. They don't want to grow the game.
Let's look at what actually happened when Clark entered the WNBA. Ticket prices jumped multiple times their normal value whenever the Fever came to town. Teams that couldn't fill half their arena suddenly had sellout crowds. The Indiana Fever's first game against the Connecticut Sun had higher ratings than any NBA playoff game that same weekend. Clark's jersey became the highest-selling rookie jersey in WNBA history, and it wasn't even close. And let's not forget she broke 62 records during her historic rookie season.
We got to remember the National Basketball Association, the NBA, the commissioner, Adam Silver, he came right out and said, I wouldn't have left Caitlin Clark off that team. And he even said, and several others said, women's basketball really dropped the ball on an opportunity to grow the women's game by leaving Caitlin Clark off that team.
These weren't just minor improvements. This was a seismic shift in how people consumed women's basketball. And somehow, the Olympic Committee decided this player wasn't valuable enough for the team? The backlash was immediate and fierce. Basketball insiders saw through the thin justification. Stephen A. Smith didn't hold back, blasting the decision as one that actively hurt the growth of women's basketball at its most pivotal moment. Lisa Leslie, a four-time Olympic gold medalist herself, called it the biggest marketing mistake in basketball history.
This is about what I will personally label the idiocy of Team USA women's basketball. How dare you make this decision? It's stupid.
You know what this really exposed? An outdated system run by people resistant to change. The committee operated like it was still 2004, when women's basketball was fighting for any attention at all. They failed to recognize that Clark wasn't just a talented player. She was a once-in-a-generation opportunity to elevate the entire sport on the world stage. Think about it. The Olympics is when casual fans tune into sports they normally ignore. It's when new stars are born. And the committee deliberately chose to leave off the one player who had proven she could attract those exact viewers.
Hey, dummies. For the first time, like in the history of basketball, you have arguably a player who is the most popular player in the world. Like, you could argue right now, Caitlin Clark is the most talked about, discussed, most popular, most puts asses in the seats, single basketball player in the world. You could argue that. Yeah, you could say maybe LeBron, Luka, whatever you want, but you can argue it. And you leave her off the Olympics team, it's not only a showcase for her, it's for the sport and the other WNBA players who are on this team. How dumb, how brain dead, how idiotic do the people running this thing have to be?
This wasn't just about Clark missing an opportunity. This was about women's basketball missing its moment. The committee's stubborn insistence on prioritizing experience over star power created such a public relations disaster that something had to give. The outrage was too loud to ignore, the mistake too obvious to defend. But as bad as the public reaction was, it turned out the Olympic snub was just the visible part of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, USA Basketball's entire operation was showing cracks that couldn't be ignored anymore. The Clark decision wasn't a one-off mistake. It was the predictable result of a broken system that was about to come crashing down around the people who built it.
I think if Caitlin Clark would have played, it would have been the biggest ratings of the Olympic Games last year. All right, and yeah, I don't know what it could have done to women's basketball.
Cheryl Reeve wants you to believe she had nothing to do with Caitlin Clark being left off the Olympic team. In her own words, she had no power in the selection of the team, and even claimed she took a lot of bullets for USA Basketball. Nice try, coach. The facts tell a completely different story.
But as a coach of the home team, there's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side.
I don't get two shits.
How about one?
Not even one shit.
Any second guessing here about not having Clark on the Olympic team?
From me? No.
While Reeve wasn't the only voice in the room, her influence over the selection process was obvious. Jen Rosati, the selection committee chair, admitted they built the team specifically for Reeve's coaching style. So when Reeve says she had no power, what she really means is she didn't want to take responsibility when fans questioned why the most electric player in women's basketball was watching from home.
Along with nearly losing the gold medal game to France, the U.S. women's team was caught up in controversy leading up to the Olympics because Caitlin Clark was not on the team. The argument not to take Clark, a rising global megastar in the sport, was in part because she had not participated in many Team USA offseason functions, and also because there were women with more national team experience who had earned the right to play at the Olympics.
Look at the players who made the final roster. Veterans who fit Reeve's system. Players who prioritize defense over offensive firepower. The committee's choices aligned perfectly with Reeve's Minnesota Lynx philosophy, a style that nearly cost Team USA the gold medal.
She is good enough to be on the team. Based on how Caitlin Clark was playing at the time, she was worthy of being on this team. This is Caitlin Clark up against Jewel Lloyd, Diana Taurasi, and Kelsey Plum. Yeah. It's tough when you see it in front of you, right? Chelsea Gray's not even on this graph. Why isn't Chelsea Gray on this graph, you may ask? Great question. Chelsea Gray started the beginning of the season injured.
Remember that nail-biter against France? Team USA barely escaped with a 67-66 victory in a game they were supposed to dominate. Throughout the tournament, the team struggled to generate consistent offense in crucial moments. The ball was not moving, and there was not enough three-point shooting whenever the defense collapses on Aja Wilson or Brianna Stewart inside. These are precisely the reasons when a player like Clark could have made the difference. The team looked sluggish and predictable at times, lacking the spark and creativity that defined Clark's game.
Caitlin Clark, based on skill, based on how she was performing, deserved to be on that team. Based on Chelsea Gray coming off hobbled from injury, you don't even know the status of her as a player. Caitlin Clark should have been on that team. She was easily one of the best players from Jump Street. Her struggling, oh my God, she's struggling with 16 points, 6 assists, and 5.5 rebounds. Oh my God, the struggle. She's shooting 39%. Yeah, Jewel Lloyd always shoots like trash. Kelsey, you got... Come on, guys.
The most damning evidence against Reeve's judgment came from Clark herself. Before the Olympic snub, Clark averaged 15.6 points and 6.3 assists per game. After being left off the team, those numbers jumped to almost 23 points and 9.5 assists. She even set a WNBA rookie record with 19 assists in a single game. Clark didn't just improve, she exploded, making the committee's assessment of her readiness look ridiculous.
Take a look at this. These are the top 3 scorers in the WNBA since the women brought home gold in the Olympics a few weeks ago. 2 of the members are of the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell.
Reeve's handling of the situation only made things worse. When a reporter asked about Clark's Olympic future after a game, Reeve snapped back, "Why the hell would I answer a national team question?" She was literally wearing her Minnesota Lynx gear at the time, clearly separating herself from Olympic responsibilities when the questions got uncomfortable. This wasn't just about one bad decision. It was about leadership that refused to adapt to the changing landscape of women's basketball. Team USA won gold, sure, but they nearly blew it.
There's so much conversation about women's basketball. The run you at South Carolina had to the national championship, a perfect season. Obviously, Caitlin Clark. And there was so much conversation on, should Caitlin be on the U.S. women's national team? You were part of the selection group. Mm-hmm. Give me your read on that now that we've got a little bit of time and we can get into some clear air to see what happened.
Right. When, as a committee member, you're charged with putting together best team of players, the best talent. Caitlin is just a rookie in the WNBA. Wasn't playing bad, but wasn't playing like she's playing now. If we had to do it all over again, the way that she's playing, she would be in really high consideration of making the team.
The combination of Reeve's questionable roster decisions, the team's underwhelming performance, and her prickly attitude toward valid criticism created the perfect storm. Something had to change. USA Basketball couldn't continue with a system that prioritized tradition over talent and marketability.
She is playing head and shoulders above a lot of people, shooting the ball extremely well. I mean, she is an elite passer.
If we are playing how she's playing now, she would be in high consideration. They can't even admit to themselves. If she was playing how she's playing now, yeah, she would definitely be on the team. We could have had our cake and eat it too. We got Kobe and LeBron on the same team. We did.
The Clark controversy didn't just expose flaws in the selection process. It revealed fundamental problems with how USA Basketball approached team building altogether. The fallout wasn't just about replacing one coach or adding one player. It demanded a complete reimagining of what Olympic basketball could be.
Sue Bird is expected to be announced as the managing director for the USA women's national team for the 2028 Olympic cycle. She will take on what is known as the Grant Hill role, selecting player rosters and coaching staff. And for those of you who aren't too familiar with the WNBA or the women's side of Team USA, and Grant Hill's a little bit new in this role, Jerry Colangelo role. Jerry Colangelo, the godfather of Team USA basketball from 2005 to 2021, picking, I want him, I want him, I want him, I want him.
USA Basketball just dropped a bomb on the entire women's Olympic program. Sue Bird, 5-time Olympic gold medalist, 4-time WNBA champion, and absolute legend of the game, is taking over as managing director of the women's national team. This isn't just a new face at the top. It's a complete overhaul of how Olympic teams will be built moving forward.
Well, USA Basketball will announce a major shift in the structuring on Thursday when Sue Bird is announced as the managing director for the USA Women's National Team 2028 cycle. Her hiring is a departure from a long-standing structure of using a committee to select players and coaches for national team rosters, and comes on the heels of a very close call for the USA women in Paris.
The announcement, initially reported by The Athletic and confirmed by several sources, marks a fundamental shift in power. Bird won't be part of some vague committee making suggestions. She'll have direct control over both player selection and coaching decisions. Sound familiar? It should. This mirrors exactly how the men's team operates under Grant Hill, who's held the position since 2021.
As financial opportunities for women grow in the sport and in marketing, USA Basketball wanted to make sure it was doing everything possible to ensure the allure of playing major international events remained strong, and a phone call from Bird is going to go a long way with players, one source close to the USA program said.
Think about what this means. No more mysterious committee decisions behind closed doors. No more coaches claiming they took bullets for decisions they supposedly didn't make. The buck stops with Bird. If she wants Caitlin Clark on the team, Clark will be on the team. Period. What makes Bird perfect for this role isn't just her basketball IQ, it's her marketing savvy. She understands what sells tickets and grows the game. Bird has publicly acknowledged Clark's unique appeal, saying, Caitlin, in particular, her long-distance threes. I always said this, we finally got the antidote to dunking. She also recognized that Clark snapped people out of this trance that was very negative towards women's basketball.
Sue Bird is taking over as managing director of USA Basketball. And this is done in a model of the men's way of doing it. Okay? She will have the say over who makes this team.
That's not just praise. It's recognition of Clark's marketability. Bird gets it. She understands that while traditional basketball skills matter, star power matters too. The Olympics isn't just about winning gold medals, though that's obviously the goal. It's about showcasing the sport to millions of casual viewers who might become lifelong fans.
But Sue Bird's been a vocal supporter of Caitlin Clark. The fact is, while everybody was coming down on Caitlin Clark last year, so many, she was one that was trying to prop her up and was an advocate for Caitlin. I do not think Caitlin Clark will not make that team next time, I can tell you that.
Bird also brings credibility with current players that nobody else could match. She competed alongside or against virtually every established star in the league. She knows who works well together, who elevates teammates, and who shrinks in big moments. That insight is invaluable when building an Olympic roster. The timing of this announcement isn't coincidental. USA Basketball watched the Clark controversy unfold and saw how it damaged the program's reputation. They witnessed a gold medal game that was way too close for comfort. They recognized that continuing with the old system wasn't sustainable as women's basketball enters its golden age of popularity.
Bird's new role is a major change for USA Basketball. Previously, the women's team and coaching staff was named by committee. Now, that is Sue Bird's job. Wow.
Bird's appointment represents a clean break from politics and tradition. It signals that USA Basketball is finally ready to embrace both elite talent and marketability when building teams. No more outdated thinking. No more mysterious committee decisions. Just straight-up basketball decisions made by someone who understands both the game and its business side. So what does all this restructuring mean for Caitlin Clark specifically? Her Olympic future just got a whole lot brighter, and the story of her potential redemption is only beginning.
I believe it's going to be the LA Games. Came out and literally said, I believe it was them that said they wouldn't have left her off the team either. They were getting criticized by not just fans, but people involved in basketball at a very high level that were outside of the WNBA. So that tells you how much sort of animosity you had from inside the WNBA and in those circles, and some parts of college basketball too, versus people from an outside view involved with basketball from a business level.
When most athletes get snubbed, They complain on social media or give bitter interviews. Not Caitlin Clark. After the Olympic Committee left her home, Clark responded by getting even better. This reaction didn't surprise anyone who knows Clark well. Her high school coach, Kristen Meyer, has seen this pattern before. Meyer revealed that Clark's biggest improvements always followed her biggest disappointments. When she didn't make the USA Under-17 World Cup team back in 2018, Clark didn't sulk. She transformed her game. Meyer explained, "When adversity hits, either you kind of crumble and feel sorry for yourself, or it causes you to dig a little deeper." Clark dug deeper.
Bird's appointment precedes a potentially young iteration of the women's national team marked by new prospects including Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Beckers, none of whom have been selected for Team Paris. There are questions regarding a number of veterans returning, including guard Chelsea Gray and center Brittany Griner. We got to remember that old guard, and I think it was fraudulent as hell.
The same thing happened after Iowa's unexpected second-round exit in the NCAA tournament. Each setback became fuel for her development. It's almost like Clark needs these moments to reach new levels. The Olympic snub might be the biggest motivator yet. By the time the Los Angeles Olympics roll around in 2028, Clark will be 26 years old, right in her basketball prime. That's the sweet spot where physical ability meets mental maturity.
That old guard put Diana Taurasi last year on that team so she could win, what was it, a sixth or seventh gold medal, maybe a sixth. But because they allowed that to happen and they did not bring Caitlin Clark on that team, it ensured that Caitlin Clark will never be able to break Diana Taurasi's record because she would just have to play way too long now.
The Indiana Fever is already building around her, adding pieces that complement her unique skills. With every season, Clark's game will evolve as she masters the professional level. The Clark of 2028 will likely be a more efficient scorer, a craftier passer, and a more capable defender than the version we see today. Los Angeles 2028 also creates the perfect storm for Clark's Olympic debut. Hollywood, Celebrity Row, primetime television. The marketing opportunities are endless for someone with Clark's appeal. USA Basketball would be crazy not to capitalize on having the face of women's basketball playing in the entertainment capital of the world.
Should they have been on Team USA?
I would have put Caitlin Clark on Team USA, absolutely. For someone as young as Caitlin Clark is going to benefit America for years and years and years and years. So yeah, I would have put her absolutely on Team USA.
Imagine the storylines if Clark shares the court with Angel Reese and other rivals-turned-teammates. Their competitive history would add another layer of intrigue to the Olympic tournament. These ready-made narratives would bring casual fans to women's basketball in unprecedented numbers. With Sue Bird calling the shots, Clark won't just make the team. She'll probably be the centerpiece. Bird understands both basketball excellence and star power. She knows what Clark brings to the table goes beyond stats. It's about growing the game globally. What started as an Olympic snub has accidentally created the foundation for something much bigger. Instead of being one of several stars on the 2024 team, Clark now has a chance to become the face of USA basketball for an entire generation. Sometimes the most painful rejections lead to the most satisfying redemption stories.
I think we all expect Caitlin Clark to make it. I'm sure the NBA expects Caitlin Clark to make it. When the commissioner of the league, that is really the boss of Kathy Engelbert, and he is, let's not get confused, when he comes out and says it was a great miss for women's basketball to have left Caitlin Clark off the team, you better make sure you get her on the team.
Sometimes the biggest mistakes create the best opportunities. What started as a controversial Olympic snub has completely transformed USA basketball. The old system is gone, replaced by Sue Bird's vision for the future. Bird clearly appreciates Clark's unique skills. This recognition suggests Clark won't just make the 2028 team. She'll be central to its identity. The wait until Los Angeles might feel long for Fever fans, but it's setting up the perfect redemption story. By 2028, We won't remember the snub. We'll be watching Clark lead Team USA to gold. If you're excited about Caitlin playing in the Olympics, comment CC 2028 down below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.